Hey, Shawn Boonstra here with Adventist Review and
Justin Kim with the Adventist Review also.
Yeah, and we're doing a bit of a doubleheader today. I just moments ago we streamed with Siku, who was going through some of the Secretariat report, but then this afternoon we kind of shifted away from reports and got into what a lot of people consider one of the main business components of annual council, and that was the report from the nominating committee. So, Justin, you've been in this building quite a while. How does nominating committee kind of function?
Yeah, so we call it nominating committee, but for short it's NomCom. NomCom met today from 12 to 2, and they had lunch, and they had all the open slots that needed to be re-elected, reappointed, filled in. The main stuff was all voted at session, but then there's some transitions that have happened from then to now, and then they had 4 groups, and that nominating committee is a special group of people voted from the executive committee, and they go in and they're kind of sequestered in their own room.
It's like the conclave.
And then they choose and they confirm these 4 groups that
So what's the difference between this nominating committee and the nominating committee that meets at GC session just weeks ago?
Yeah, so the NomCom that was voted from session was made up from I forget how many people, but all the people at session. This is a special NomCom from the executive committee that was met from this week.
Okay, so some of the things that we filled, these positions, one of the first orders of business they did was naming field secretaries.
Yeah.
What in the world is a field secretary? What does that mean?
Yeah, they go out into the field and they, I was trying to make a joke, but I can't think of anything.
There was no joke there at the end of that. No, there was nothing there.
So there's organizations out in the world, and the church I should say, you have Adventist Risk Management, you have Hope Channel, what were some of the other ones? BRI, GRI,
Ellen White
Estate.
Yep.
So they're not formally part of the church structure, but they're kind of peripherally in the margins of.
Okay, unpack that a little bit. They're not part of the church structure, but they are?
They are. So they're not part of the formal world church structure with the GC and the divisions and the unions and the conferences.
Gotcha.
But they're Adventists, right? So one way to connect them to be part of the world structure is to have their head dude or dudette be kind of double functioning.
That's what the business card says, dude, dudette.
Whoever that leader is, I should say, is given a field secretary position.
Okay.
And then with that field secretary position, they can represent the church. They are part of the church or world leadership, and it's kind of a way to keep these organizations together. So, for example, I know we know, like those of us who are internal, we know that BRI, GRI, and they're all part of the church. But what if like there was another organization called Love Channel, right? And they're like, hey, I'm from Love Channel. Like, well, who are you? And, well, I'm a field secretary of the General Conference also. And like, oh, you're associated with the GC in some way, and it's one way to bridge that gap a bit.
Okay, so yeah, they are the church, but legally, structurally, they're a little bit independent, but this crosses the bridge. They now represent the GC. So today we did BRI, Elias D'Souza.
BRI is the Bible Research Institute. These are the top, theologians of the world, and they help
fix my work. They fix
navigate
my work
through theological issues. Like Trinity was a big thing a couple years ago, and these are like the hardliner. I don't know anything about sports. The linebackers. I don't know. Just the big dudes.
Linebacker. The big dudes.
Yeah.
So Jim Howard, AWR, field secretary. Magdiel Schultz, that's a little different. He's an assistant.
Yeah, he's assistant to the president, and he functions in a lot of other administrative functions, and so he's just he doesn't have a formal leadership position, so this kind of gives him a a moniker, an office, a name,
platform. And Vyacheslav Demyan, Hope Channel. Merlin Burt, Ellen White Estate. Paulo Lopez, ADRA. Ronald Nalen, Geoscience Research Institute.
Scientists, creationists.
And that's located sort of near the campus of Loma Linda. James Weingardner, Adventist Risk Management. That one was a surprise to me. I didn't realize that was kind of
so the church
an
has
entity.
its own insurance organization, and with all the endeavors that the church goes through, instead of giving that business to another external entity, the church has its own, and it's a way to keep the finances within the church.
It's a brand new institution because Justin is so accident prone that we had to open up a separate that's not true. But, so for example, your local church is probably insured.
Yeah.
It is insured by the church itself. We are self-insured as a church.
For mission trips, for winter shovel accidents.
Your church burns down, like tragically recently happened here in this neighborhood.
Van accidents was a big thing back in the 90s, and so it's been a great umbrella. What is it? Supporting, what's it called when the trapeze artists, the net. The net. It's a great net. Yeah.
The editor of the Adventist Review cannot remember the word net.
Editorializing in my head after what I said.
Okay, so those are the field secretaries. That was first.
Yep.
Then there were some vacancies. One at Parle for an associate director.
Yep.
All right, and that was Andy M.
Andy M. So that position was with Sam Nevis. He went into it was strategic communication for Hope Channel.
Yep.
And so there was a vacancy that right between session and now. And Andy comes from the Lake Union. He was the Parle director there with his wife, Laura M. And Laura will also be coming over, and she's going to be the new HR director for GC. So this is a new power couple at the General Conference. But he will be the associate at Parle and working with Nelu Bergea and representing the church before all the world governments and doing all this cool stuff.
We had an appointment at Sabbath School and Personal Ministries, an associate director there, Daniel Ebenezer.
That's right. So Jim Howard has now moved to AWR, so that department doesn't have a director. So the associate moves on up, which does leave an open position for the associate, which they'll probably choose at the next whatever.
William Crick, associate director of publishing.
Yep.
That's
so
today.
Publishing's assistant director, who was Michael Eckert, will now be a new vice president for AWR.
Okay.
So that was a position. And so Bill Crick comes from California. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah. Gustav Appiaggi.
Yeah.
That one, I'm lucky to get that one pronounced. And Gustav, if I did it wrong, the Bible says you have to forgive me or you can't go to heaven. That's what Jesus said.
Yeah, I don't know him, but he's part of, that's a GCAS world.
GCAS.
And the GCASers are like the accountants that go and they look at all the books to make sure that everything is all spick and span clean and to make sure that we're all ethically, morally, all good with the Lord and with the government.
And I love the fact that we do this. We hold ourselves accountable. We are accountable to auditors. Every position in the church is accountable to some board, some level, somewhere.
What I like about GCAS is they're not just looking at if you're financially clean or whatever. They're looking at, is tithe used for biblical tithe usage?
Yeah, exactly. And the church is very careful.
Yeah, I thought they were just accountants who were like, all right, every penny is accounted for. They're not.
No.
They have a biblical mandate to what they do. So I like that little thing at the end.
Yeah. Gustav's assigned to Trans-Euro, the Trans-Euro area, so you're probably not going to see him come to your church unless you invite him to speak. Maybe do that, but Trans-Euro. And here's what I found interesting. This always gets me. I've heard this before at GC session, annual council. When you're appointed, your job doesn't start in 10 days. It's effective immediately. It's like the minute the vote goes through, you're on deck, and these people sometimes barely have time to move. They have to start the job the minute the meeting lets out, which is it's tough.
Pretty
it's
intense.
admirable.
Yeah.
So you can see why they'd look for leadership qualities in a long time, adaptability in a candidate.
Yep.
Then appointed positions. This one excited me because that's where we come up for reappointment.
Yep.
Justin does. Siku, who you met earlier in today's broadcast, an associate editor. And yours truly, Shawn Boonstra, associate editor, and I survived.
Yeah, yay! So we can do the show.
I'm about 100 years in. Yeah, that's the only reason. And they asked me to see me tonight at 7, just for the show. Yeah. No, so we got our jobs back, but that happens across. Senior leadership in some organizations is done at GC session, but others are reappointed for 5 years, right?
Yep.
This doesn't happen every year?
That's correct.
So I'm safe for 5 years or 7 o'clock.
So those appointed positions are all editors.
Yep.
And editors in the General Conference, they function kind of as gatekeepers of theology. So you have BRI who are they're the defenders of theology and they help articulate. Then you have professors of theology and they're the ones who do research and they get into deeper theological issues and whatnot. But editors are the ones that articulate and then say, hey, this is legit, this is not, and this should not be released to the masses. This is awesome, this should be released to the masses.
Yep.
And so it's not just us that are the gatekeepers. There are gatekeepers all over, the editors all over from every department, and that needs to be revised by the leadership and by the entire House.
And I just want to point out that if you've written an article and submitted it to the Adventist Review and it didn't end up in print, that wasn't Shawn Boonstra, that was Justin Kim. No, that's not true. We get a lot of submissions. Let me just say this, just for the so many people submit stuff, we just can't even keep up. Yeah, sorry.
But just write better. I mean, what's
there you go. Write better, do more.
Yeah.
Your motivational talk.
We get so many submissions out there,
really
and
do.
we only have a little bit of space, so we try to get the best of the best. And so we just encourage you all, but we can't print it all.
Yeah, go ahead and submit it, but we can't even respond to it all. I must have a dozen a day across my desk.
Yes.
All right, then there were some boards that needed to be voted today, and that also happened. The International Board of Education and the International Board of Ministerial and Theological Education.
Yes.
So slight difference there.
Yep. So we talked about yesterday. Was it yesterday? A couple days ago. You have the AAA. That's some Adventist. It's got Adventist Accrediting Association. I think that's what it stands for. If it's not, it's something with those words in it.
It's what Justin said.
And this organization goes out and they make sure that the educational institution is upholding Adventist principles, and they implement it through policy, through standards. You just can't say to an organization, "Hey, you got to be an Adventist." What does that mean? What do they have to teach? Or the professors, what do they have to do? And continue. It gets very into the details, but that's their job. So this group, they do one for Adventist institutions and one for ministerial and theological institutions. And it just shows you the premium that we put on our theology and our theological education. And I think there was about 50 names for one.
57 names.
And then 70.
I think so. I can't remember the other number.
70. So these are, there's just a lot of
but in spite of
oversight.
That, they give the room time to read the names. They scroll them ever so slowly on the screen, which is why sometimes there's a little lag when it's time for a vote. They take it seriously. You do get a chance to vote on it and to think it through. But what I am remarkably impressed by every time is people say, oh, it's a rubber stamp, it's all decided ahead of time. No, it's not. But by the time it gets through this room, I'm surprised at the unanimity. It's like the Spirit's leading. One of the votes, where was it here? It's like 177 in favor, 5 opposed. And that might be they don't like one name, or they just mad someone they wanted in there didn't get in, whatever it is. But I find that right across the board. We even had this morning a unanimous vote. I remember Audrey Anderson was chairing, and she's like, that was unanimous. There's always somebody who votes no. Yeah. So the boards were done. Then OGC, Karnak Dukmetsian, Canadian. He's retired. And so today he's going to stay on the job till July to facilitate, part-time. He's facilitating a transition. He's no longer the head. Today we saw Todd McFarland move into that position. He's been here for just shy of 2 decades, and OGC, just in case somebody doesn't know what OGC is.
The Office of General Counsel.
Yep.
So I used to be, when I was younger, very anti-institutions, anti-institutional. A lot of people have that little bit of that edge against, it's just organized religion. But what institutions have there are these baseline principles that are so valuable that you want them to continue cross generations and not just be rooted in a person. And so institutions are created around these values. And so if the person should die, if a particular personality should die, that these values continue on. And OGC their job is to preserve the institution legally or ethically or whatever values that they have. And Karnak's just done a bang up job on that. He's got these really cool ties with all the different colors that he's at.
He does have ties.
He's the tie guy. And whenever there is a threat, not on a person, not on a theological belief. That's other people do that.
Yep.
But if it's organizational or institutional,
okay,
then he jumps up, and Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
make you.
And make sure also
he's
that
there.
we dot our I's and cross our T's as Adventists. We want to make sure, the counsel we've got in Romans is play ball with your government
Yeah,
up
that's
to
right.
the point where you're asked to violate God's commands. So we
That's
want to
right.
make sure that we are representative citizens of whatever country we happen to
That's
be
right.
in with our institutions.
That's right.
And that's a big job.
He allows the church to preach the gospel.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he takes
He
care of all ways.
facilitates it, right?
Yeah.
He does. Okay, so
So he's
then
not around anymore. And it's Todd's new guy. He was the
Todd.
parliamentarian. He's the tall dude
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was at general conference session, and he's the one that's like, hey, you can say it, you can't say that. He knows all the rules, and now he's the new OGC.
If you want to meet Todd, just start watching the stream of the daily meetings. He's
Yeah.
sitting on stage, making sure that the meetings run according to,
That's right.
I almost said according to Hoyle. That's terrible. I wasn't always a Christian. Hoyle is a book full of card game rules.
Okay.
According to Hoyle. According to Robert's rules
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
GC rules of order.
I don't know
All
who
right.
Roberts was, but he's
So
everywhere.
there was another vote tonight, sort of the day wound up with, we saw yesterday morning after incredible presentation, Sabbath yesterday, we didn't do the show. Ayrton had a fantastic sermon on mission, but before
Yeah.
the sermon, they presented this, it's not an initiative, I have to be careful what I say, but sort of the theme for the next quinquennium,
Yeah.
which is...
So he released, debuted, he talked about, he presented, he talked about One Voice 2027. And some of us media ministry leaders, we were all up there with a Hope Channel and AWR and communications. We're all up there, and then Elder Ayrton presented again, and he gave a summary, and then they allowed a little bit of space for discussion. Are you guys for this? Are you guys not for this? And representatives from all around the world, I remember one from Norway, we got some from Latin America, saying, hey, we really appreciate the unity in this, the space where people can customize
Right.
and they can contextualize the project to their local area, but to be together on this, everyone was for it. Elder Wilson also chimed in. He's saying, hey, this is a natural progression of global TMI. So this is just, there was a just awesome spirit of togetherness.
That was at 10 o'clock Eastern time on Sabbath. You can find that stream online. I encourage you to watch it. 2027 will be the 2000th anniversary of Jesus' baptism.
That's right.
So this is kind of tied to that. That's why we've chosen September of 2027, and it's the whole world preaching the three angels' messages and getting very intentional about integrating every avenue of the church, health, ministry, media, everything, so that we are taking the call that we have to preach the three angels' messages very seriously, globally, with a lot of emphasis on different windows that are hard to reach. 1040 window, the urban window, the post-Christian window, some of the things that Rick has pointed out over the last few days. So that's One Voice 2027, but tonight, it was presented on Sabbath, but tonight we had a vote.
They voted, and I think there was one person that was against it. One vote. The whole room, the spirit was, you can watch it online, the streaming, there was just it was a good spirit, and everyone was laughing at this one vote. And there was comments saying...
It was you, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't me. I was up there in front.
Justin Kim voted again.
And then people were saying there's one vote should be converted, and we're going to convert this to One Voice. They were making puns on this. So then the next vote was Hensley Morovin goes up. He's talking about policy, and he does it in his style with the high voice, and he's trying to make policy more digestible for the rest of us. And then they vote that in, and it's unanimous. And so it was funny, people were saying like, hey, the one vote has now been converted, and there's a good spirit there.
Either that or you went to the airport.
Or he wasn't around,
No, he probably converted. That's the business we're in. That was fun. So it's been adopted as our theme, our sort of driving principle for the next 5 years. They're being really careful. This is not a top-down initiative, so they've dropped the word initiative. It's kind
There's no logo for this. It's the Adventist Church logo, and it's a word mark, and it's an initiative. It's a movement, I should say, for all of us to be a part of. I think practically they mentioned, hey, let's read Desire of Ages again. Let's just get back to our fundamental relationship with Jesus and get back into Daniel and Revelation again.
Given that it's the 2000th anniversary of Jesus' baptism, they're really underlining the book of Daniel to study over the next couple of years.
Daniel
because
9.
Of Daniel chapter 9, which lays out the mission of Jesus and sort of becomes one of the anchor points for this movement.
That's right.
Right? Coming to the end of the 2,300 days.
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow's business, the most important event in the entire annual council, happens sometime mid-afternoon tomorrow, right? It's the most important thing. I encourage you to get on the stream and watch what happens tomorrow afternoon, Monday, about mid-afternoon. We think around 3:20 or so, around that time. And it's the most important thing that's ever going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
We are presenting our Adventist Review report
See?
at that time.
Most important thing
And,
in the whole
If
church.
you guys have some time, check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah,
All
if you
right.
can't, then check us out here at this show.
And if that goes well and we're not late, we expect to stream again tomorrow night, right around 5 o'clock Eastern time. We were a little bit later tonight because we don't know when things are going to let out over there. But right around 5, get ready to get online and watch this on Adventist Review, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, it'll be archived there later, but live? Why would you miss live? 5 o'clock. So,
by the way, Shawn, I've heard from a lot of people here at Executive Committee. They've really appreciated our show. They said, "Hey, it's really great to get a recap of what's happened." And in my mind, I'm like, "Weren't you?"
They were sitting in there
in the building. But anyway, if this recap has been a blessing, we like to just hang out and find the humor in God's business. And hey, feel free to subscribe and share and tell other people about it.
And don't waste time. Just click the subscribe button now. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It costs you nothing to click subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow night. I'm Shawn Boonstra.
I'm Justin Kim.